People always assume power looks loud, that it shouts, sparkles, brands itself with diamonds and arrogance. But true power? True influence? It has no need to announce itself. On the 51st floor of the Hawthorne Crown Tower, the annual Ascend Foundation Gala glittered under soft gold lighting. Cameras flashed every few seconds. A string quartet performed beside the Infinity Edge terrace, their bows slicing the air like whispered secrets. Guests walked around with the kind of practiced grace that comes from knowing all eyes belong to them, or so they believe. It was a night for the rich to pretend they cared about causes they'd never personally touch. A night for socialites to show off gowns they'd never wear twice. A night for corporations to parade their generosity under the guise of philanthropy. But more than anything, it was a night for names, for status, and for hierarchy. The rooftop trembled with the kind of artificial laughter people perfected after years of training. Servers weaved through the crowd, carrying champagne that cost more per glass than the weekly salary of half the staff working below. At the far end of the terrace, engraved name cards lined a long VIP table. Table 9, the centerpiece table, arranged for executives, investors, and honored guests. On one of those cards, embossed in silver foil, was a name no one seemed to notice. No one except the man who walked quietly toward it. Malik Rivers adjusted the sleeve of his charcoal suit, moving silently through the gala as if he'd been carved out of shadow. He didn't care for the flashing lights. He didn't care for the shallow conversations or performative etiquette. Wealth to him wasn't a performance. It was a tool, a responsibility. He preferred arriving unnoticed, preferred the quiet, preferred the stillness before the inevitable storm that came whenever people discovered who he truly was. Tonight, however, he hoped would be different. He had arrived early, hoping to slip into his seat, enjoy a drink, rehearse his keynote, and finalize a partnership that would secure the future of over 700 employees at a manufacturing firm he was acquiring. But fate had other plans, or rather, arrogance did. As Malik approached table 9, he scanned the name cards until his eyes landed on his own. Mr. Malik Rivers, primary sponsor, Ascend Foundation, keynote speaker. He exhaled quietly. A moment of ease, a moment of quiet before. A sudden blur of gold fabric slid into his chair. Celeste Hawthorne. Her body landed in his seat with theatrical exaggeration, the kind of movement people use when they know the world is watching. Celeste Hawthorne, social elite, gala darling, wife of Bradford Hawthorne, heir to Hawthorne Technologies, and professional attention magnet. Beside her, Bradford dropped into the neighboring chair, stretching with the entitlement of a man convinced the world existed solely for him. Malik paused, just one breath too long. Long enough for Celeste to misinterpret his silence as weakness. Or worse, submission. "Sorry, buddy," Bradford said, waving his hand dismissively as if shooing a child. "These seats are taken." Malik's voice remained calm. "This is my assigned seat." Celeste smirked, crossing her legs with a dramatic flick. "Relax. If you're staff, the catering entrance is downstairs. No need to hover. We don't need drinks yet." A few guests overheard. Their chuckles sliced through the air like little daggers. Someone whispered, "He must have wandered into VIP." Another added, "Security really needs to screen better." Malik's pulse stayed steady. "I'm not staff," he said. Celeste sighed into her wine glass. "Then show your invitation. Guests of this tier don't just appear." Bradford plucked Malik's name card off the table with 2 fingers, like it was contaminated, and flicked it aside. The card skidded across the marble. "Don't pretend you belong here," Bradford said. "This table's full." People around them watched, phones rising slowly, as though capturing a rare spectacle. A man they assumed was beneath them trying to stand his ground. Malik picked up the card with deliberate composure. He placed it back on the table, aligning it precisely where it belonged. Gasp. Whispers. "Oh, he's bold." But Celeste leaned forward, chin lifted, eyes sharp. "Bold," she said, "but still pointless." Bradford waved down security. A guard approached, tall, cautious, unsure. "Sir," the guard began, "I need to see credentials." Celeste nearly burst with triumphant satisfaction. "He won't have any." Malik reached into his jacket and produced his gold-embossed invitation. Bradford snatched it. "He probably stole this," he scoffed. "Happens all the time." The guard hesitated. "Mr. Hawthorne, this invitation is—" "Remove him," Bradford snapped. "And make sure he's banned from future events," Celeste added. "We don't tolerate people pretending to be guests." Several guests nodded. "Agreed. Correct. He doesn't belong." Malik inhaled slowly. "Your assumptions are steep," he said. Celeste scoffed. "Reality is reality. You don't fit here." Phones lifted higher, filming everything. The humiliation, the aggression, the arrogance mistaken for superiority. Malik checked his watch. 11 minutes until his keynote. A keynote he suddenly decided would serve a different purpose. "Very well," he said softly. Celeste clapped lightly. "Good. He finally understands his place." No one realized Malik wasn't defeated. He was preparing, waiting, timing. As Malik walked away, the Hawthorns basked in their victory. "These social climbers," Celeste muttered. "Always pushing boundaries." "Everyone here knows who matters," Bradford said. They didn't notice the shift around the terrace. Didn't notice how conversations quieted. Didn't notice the stage lights warming. Didn't notice the orchestra stop mid-piece. They didn't notice anything. Because arrogant people never do, until the world stops to make them look in the mirror. The event director stepped onto the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, "please welcome the primary sponsor of tonight's gala, and our keynote speaker, Mr. Malik Rivers." The entire terrace erupted. People stood. Chairs scraped back. Phones lifted. Gasps shot through the night air like fireworks. Celeste froze. Bradford's face turned sheet white. The man they'd tried to humiliate. The man they'd dismissed as staff. The man they'd ordered security to remove. Was the one man they needed more than anyone else in that entire rooftop. Malik stepped onto the stage with a calm authority that commanded the entire rooftop. "To those recording," he began, "you've captured tonight with impressive accuracy." A tremor spread through the crowd. He continued, "This evening is meant to celebrate opportunity, dignity, and the building of futures." Yet, moments before this speech, a couple took my seat. His eyes slid to the Hawthorns. "Not by mistake," he said, "but with intention." Silence strangled the air. Some believe their wealth grants them permission to decide who deserves respect. A murmur rolled. People shifted uncomfortably. Malik lifted the name card they'd thrown aside. "Just minutes ago, they informed me I didn't belong. That I had no place among you." Bradford's voice cracked. "Please, not here." But Malik wasn't speaking for Bradford. He was speaking for everyone who had ever been told they didn't belong. For everyone ever humiliated, ever underestimated, ever pushed aside. "Ironically," Malik said, "the chair they stole belonged to the investor their company has been chasing for 8 months." Shock detonated. Celeste's hand flew to her mouth. Bradford sagged in his seat, shaking. Malik lifted a sleek folder. "Tonight, I was scheduled to finalize a partnership that would have secured hundreds of jobs at Hawthorne Technologies." Gasps echoed. Whispers spread. A dozen phones streamed live. "But instead," Malik said, "I learned how quickly dignity is discarded when arrogance takes control." "Mr. Rivers," Celeste whispered, trembling. "Please." Malik didn't raise his voice. "Respect cannot be optional." He placed the folder on the podium. "As of now, the Hawthorne proposal is withdrawn permanently." Chaos erupted. Shouts. Whispers. People pulling away from the Hawthorns as if their arrogance were contagious. Malik stepped away from the microphone. The crowd parted before him. Not out of fear, but out of respect. True respect. Earned, not demanded. He passed the Hawthorns on his way out. Celeste reached for him with shaking fingers. We didn't know." Malik paused only long enough to respond. "That," he said quietly, "is exactly the problem." Then he walked away, leaving behind two people who finally understood what it felt like to be small. 9. What happened after? Social media exploded. Within hours, videos hit every platform. By morning, the incident had millions of views. Headlines everywhere. Gala gone wrong, power couple exposed for humiliating primary sponsor. Keynote speaker humiliated, then destroys their entire company with one sentence. The night arrogance met its match. Hawthorne Technologies stock plummeted. The board of directors demanded an emergency meeting. Bradford was demoted. Celeste lost every remaining sponsor. Their social standing disintegrated. But Malik? His foundation received record donations. His speech became a symbol, a reminder, a lesson. 10. The lesson they never expected. Weeks later, Malik recorded a message for the Ascend Foundation's channel. He didn't mention the Hawthorns, didn't repeat the humiliation, didn't name names. He simply said, "When people believe you don't belong, remember, your worth is not determined by their perception. Your dignity is not granted by their approval, and your presence does not need their permission. Move with purpose, move with humility, move with strength, because the same people who try to break you today may one day depend on your grace to survive." The video went viral, but more importantly, it became a mantra, a reminder that power isn't in titles, chairs, or invitations. Power is in how you stand. When the world tries to push you down, never underestimate the quiet one. Never dismiss the unseen. Never mistake humility for weakness. And above all, respect is not optional, because without it, you may lose everything you pretend to be. The fallout from the rooftop gala still echoed across the city. Bradford and Celeste Hawthorne had become walking warnings, symbols of arrogance collapsing under its own weight. Their company was bleeding clients. Their public image was radioactive. Their employees whispered prayers in the hallways, waiting for the announcement they all knew was coming. Layoffs, closures, chaos. But in the middle of all that corporate wreckage, sat someone no one noticed. Someone whose life was about to take an unexpected turn. Her name was Ariel Carter, a 23-year-old intern with a second-hand laptop, natural twist-out curls pulled into a ponytail, and dreams bigger than her paycheck. She worked in the research department, a place where interns were meant to be invisible unless coffee was needed. Though technically she worked for Hawthorne Technologies, she didn't admire them. She admired the man who rejected them, Malik Rivers. She had watched the viral gala video at least 20 times. She quoted his speech in her sleep. She replayed the moment the Hawthorns realized who he was, every time she needed courage to walk into a building that made her feel like an unwanted guest. What she didn't know yet was that Malik Rivers would soon know her name. Ariel arrived early, as always. The elevators hadn't even warmed up yet. She stepped into the research hall carrying her binder, laptop, and the kind of determination that comes from knowing your future depends on how hard you fight for it. But before she reached her cubicle, voices echoed from the conference room. Sharp voices, cruel voices. She recognized them instantly. Marina Oakwood, senior analyst. Tyler Briggs, lead developer. Two people notorious for treating interns like disposable items. Ariel slowed her step. "Do you see this garbage?" Marina hissed. "Unbelievable," Tyler said. "She really thinks she's smart." Ariel's stomach tightened. She stepped closer and froze. They were holding her report, her 40-page proposal, the one she had spent 3 weeks building, the report with suggestions that could save the company millions in loss, the one she hoped might finally land her a real job offer. Marina tossed the pages onto the table. "She's just an intern. She doesn't know how this place works." Tyler laughed. "We can't let someone like that outshine us. Can you imagine? Leadership thinking an intern found something huge? No way. Ariel's throat dried. Someone like that. She knew exactly what they meant. Marina picked up the report again. I'm rewriting this. Then we'll submit it under our names. Tyler nodded. Good. She'll get credit for formatting or whatever interns do. Ariel stepped into the doorway. Actually, she said, I wrote that entire report. The room froze. Neither of them turned. Then Tyler spoke without looking at her. Interns shouldn't enter senior meeting rooms without being asked. I wasn't entering, Ariel said. I was protecting my work. Marina smirked at her reflection in the glass wall. Sweetheart, we were helping you. You should thank us. For stealing my research? Ariel asked. For preventing you from embarrassing yourself, Marina replied. Leadership doesn't take unseasoned voices seriously. Unseasoned. Another word with a meaning they didn't say aloud, but everyone heard. Tyler crossed his arms. Look, we're presenting your idea. It's still helping the company. You should be grateful. I'm not, Ariel said softly. Marina let out a sharp laugh. Then you should quit. Tyler added, interns who don't fit the culture don't last. That sentence landed like a punch. Ariel stood still as they swept past her, stepping over her dignity like it was a loose piece of paper on the floor. She looked down at her binder, her name on the cover, her research in her hands. They were going to erase her, and she knew it. At lunch, Ariel sat alone on a bench outside the building, blinking back frustration. She typed an email to HR, deleted it, typed a new one, deleted it, over and over. Finally, she wrote something she didn't expect to write. Subject: I don't know what else to do. To hr@hawthorntech.com. I believe 2 senior employees are stealing my intellectual work. I have evidence. I have time-stamped documents. I know I'm only an intern, but I need help. Please. She read it 10 times. Then she added a second sentence, one she didn't know would change her life. I looked up the original sponsor of the Ascend Gala, Mr. Malik Rivers, and I wonder if he ever had to deal with this kind of thing. She hit send. 3 minutes later, her phone buzzed. But the reply wasn't from HR. It came from a private address. Rivers' executive office, confidential. Her heartbeat stuttered. She opened it. Ariel, I read your message. Send me your report. M. Rivers. She dropped her phone. That night, she sent Malik her report. She expected nothing. Maybe a polite acknowledgement. Maybe silence. Instead, at 2:14 a.m., an email slid into her inbox. She opened it with shaking hands. Ariel, your analysis is accurate. Your projections are strong. Your recommendation is the kind I pay 6-figure analysts to produce. Meet me at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Address attached. M. Rivers. Ariel didn't sleep. She barely breathed. Malik's private office wasn't in a skyscraper. It was in an old brick building that used to be a library. Calm, quiet, grounded. A receptionist smiled. You must be Ariel. He's been waiting. Waiting? She stepped into the office. Malik Rivers stood by the window, looking out at the city like he was measuring its pulse. He turned, and she realized something. His presence was even heavier in person. Not loud, not intimidating, just undeniable. Ms. Carter, he said, I wanted to meet the mind behind that report. She swallowed hard. Thank you for reading it. You earned more than that, Malik said. You earned someone taking you seriously. She blinked fast, trying not to cry. He gestured for her to sit. Tell me, Malik said, why are you still at Hawthorne Technologies? I need the internship credit to graduate, she admitted. And I need the paycheck to help my mom. And she paused. I thought if I worked hard enough, someone would notice. They noticed, Malik said. But people who fear your potential will always pretend they don't. Ariel stared at him. Nobody's ever said that to me. Then it's long overdue. Malik picked up his phone. Ariel tensed. Are you calling HR? No, Malik said. He dialed a direct line. Put me through to the board chair, he said. Ariel's eyes widened. He waited 2 seconds. Hello, Richard. Malik. I'm calling regarding 2 of your employees, Marina Oakwood and Tyler Briggs. They've stolen intellectual work from one of your interns. Ariel's face flushed. He continued. No. I'm not asking what you'll do about it. A pause. I'm telling you. I'm reviewing their division next week. Another pause. Yes, Richard. That means exactly what you think it means. He ended the call. Ariel stared. Mr. Rivers. I didn't want anyone fired. I'm not firing anyone, he said. I'm enforcing accountability. If they lied, they'll deal with the consequences of their own choices. And me, she whispered. You, he said, are coming with me to that review. Ariel nearly dropped her bag. Me? I won't speak for you, Malik said. You will speak for yourself. Your voice deserves to be heard. But, he lifted her report. I'll ensure you aren't interrupted. Her throat tightened. People always silenced her. No one ever protected her voice. Until now. A week later, the boardroom was full. Executives, directors, managers, and in the center, Marina and Tyler, sitting stiff and smug, unaware of what was coming. The board chair cleared his throat. Before we begin, we have a guest. Mr. Rivers, thank you for attending. Malik nodded once, and he has asked that a particular intern present the findings. Snickers rippled across the room, until Ariel stepped in. Her confidence shook the walls. She walked to the podium, opened her report, and began. As she spoke, Marina's face drained. Tyler's hands fumbled. Executives leaned forward, shocked at her insight, her accuracy, her clarity. She wasn't good. She was exceptional. When she finished, Malik leaned forward. One question, he said to the room. Who told you this report was written by senior staff? Silence. All eyes turned to Marina and Tyler. They cracked. Excuses. Lies. Stuttering. Blame. The board didn't buy any of it. Within 10 minutes, both were escorted out. Ariel sat frozen, barely processing what happened. Then the board chair turned to her. Ariel Carter, he said, how would you like a full-time position? She stared. Malik smiled, not with pride, but with recognition. Take it, he said softly. Not because they offer it, but because you earned it. She nodded, tears slipping free. I'll take it. After the meeting, Malik walked her to the lobby. You changed your life today, he said. Ariel shook her head. I couldn't have done this without you. Malik paused. No, he said firmly. You did the work. I just opened a door they tried to close. She swallowed hard. What do I do now? Simple, Malik replied. You do for others what I did for you. She nodded slowly. I will. He held out his hand. Then your journey starts today, Miss Carter. She shook it, and just like that, a new chapter in the Black empowerment universe began. One where every underdog Malik lifted up would go on to lift others. A chain reaction they could never stop. A legacy built not on power, but on empowerment. The storm outside wasn't just weather. It felt symbolic. Board members filed into the private conference room with expressions carved from stone. No greetings, no handshake, no pretense, just tension. At the head of the table sat Bradford Hawthorne, once a titan, now a man trying not to look like he was drowning. His jaw clenched, his fingers tapped, his confidence fractured. And then the door opened. Celeste walked in. Her heels clicked like gunshots against the marble. Her stare didn't land on the board. It landed directly on Bradford. You lied to me, she said softly, which somehow made it even worse. The room froze, because everyone knew what she meant. She had discovered the truth. The missing funds, the secret accounts, the falsified projections Bradford thought no one would find. But the real problem wasn't the fraud. It was who he blamed for it. Malik. Celeste placed a tablet on the table and pressed play. Audio filled the room. Bradford's voice. "He'll take the fall. Who's going to believe him anyway?" It was the recording Mariana had given Malik. The one that revealed everything. The one Celeste now had. The board members exchanged looks. Fearful, disgusted, furious. "Bradford," Chairman Ellington said, "is this your voice?" Bradford swallowed hard. He didn't answer. He didn't have to. Celeste slid her ring off her finger and placed it on the table with a soft metallic clink that somehow sounded louder than thunder. "This marriage," she said, "was built on power. But you're not powerful. Just desperate." Bradford stood abruptly, pointing at her. "You're siding with him? With Malik? He humiliated you." Celeste stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "He didn't humiliate me. You did." The board chairman cleared his throat. "Given these revelations, the board has voted to remove you from all leadership positions effective immediately." Bradford blinked, shocked, speechless, small. Security entered. Not aggressively, just confidently, like they knew he no longer mattered. Celeste didn't look at him as he was escorted out. But the board's attention shifted when the door opened again. Malik walked in, calm, centered. The man who had every reason to seek revenge, yet wasn't here for revenge at all. Celeste straightened her posture. "Mr. Malik, I believe you have something to say." Malik placed a folder on the table. Inside it, full documentation of Bradford's financial manipulations, years of concealed losses, and evidence that he had been preparing to shift blame onto innocent employees. "I'm not here to destroy what's left," Malik said. "I'm here to rebuild it properly." The board fell silent. They weren't just looking at a man. They were looking at a future. Chairman Ellington leaned forward. "Mr. Malik, what do you want?" Malik sat down slowly, deliberately. "A clean house, accountability, and the return of every job Bradford tried to sacrifice." "And in return?" the chairman asked. Malik's answer was simple. "Transparency." The board members exchanged long, contemplative glances. Celeste spoke next. "You clearly possess something Bradford never had: discipline, integrity, vision." A pause. "We need someone like you." Malik shook his head. "I don't want a position." The room blinked. "I want partnership," he continued. "Equal, independent, and protected. I will not be used as a scapegoat. Ever." The board murmured. The chairman nodded. "You will have it." A single stroke of a pen later, Malik transformed from an overlooked man to a co-owner of the company that once tried to erase him. But he said one last thing before leaving. "Power doesn't come from wealth. It comes from what you do when they underestimate you." And then he walked out, leaving the board in stunned silence, leaving Celeste with a spark of newfound respect, leaving a legacy in motion. Outside, the storm had finally stopped, but the world had just begun to notice him. Hit like so more people can find this story, and subscribe, because what happens next is something you will not want to miss.